welcome back to Coding from Null. A few weeks ago, we learned how to use a tool called Inkscape so we can make SVGs for our logos and stuff. This week, what we're going to do is we're going to take those SVGs that we created in Inkscape. We're going to use another tool called GIMP to then convert those to a file type that we can use for our Favicon, or what will display in the browser on a tab when someone is visiting our website. So let's go ahead and start digging into that.
All right, so let's start looking at how we can make our favicon for our application. Well, right now, if we look at our React application, we're actually just using the default React logo here. So if we go ahead and open up the public folder, we can see the favicon here, and we see that it's just that default React logo, which is then being used up here. What we're going to do is we want something that's a little bit more unique to our application. And we're going to be using this software called GIMP to do that. What GIMP is an open source alternative to something like Photoshop that allows us to edit and manipulate photos. And what we're going to be using it for is to convert our initial logo that we developed in Inkscape as an SVG and convert it over to a format that we can use as our icon for our application. So go ahead and go to gimp.org. You can download this. Again, it's completely free. It's all open source. So go ahead and download that, and then let's get started and see how we can take an SVG and using GIMP convert it over to something like a .ico. So here we are in our GIMP program. Now we're not going to be using basically any of the features. We're just going to be importing this SVG and then using this tool and then export it in a different format. But there are a ton of tools. Pretty much anything that you can think of that you would find in a program like Photoshop, GIMP can definitely do it. And some things may be a little bit harder to find, and you may find yourself Googling a lot how to do certain things in here, but it's definitely a great program. And I mean, you can't beat that it's open source. So really cool if you wanted to come in and learn how to edit some photos. But here what we're going to do is just come up here, and we're just going to be opening our gear SVG that is the icon that we made in Inkscape. And I'm just opening it up straight from my images directory in our project. I'm going to go ahead and hit open. Now it's going to ask me what the width and height of this vector image I want it to be. And what I'm going to actually make this in is 32 by 32. 32 by 32 works, 16 by 16 also works for the sizes that the browser is going to expect for those icons. Go ahead and hit OK. And we see we get this nice little icon for us here. Now what we want to do is now export it as that specific format. So if we come in here and we hit export, bring this over here. Now where we want to make sure that we're going is if we go into client, we want to make sure that this is going into the public folder so that's accessible by the browser. So, and we are going to, I'm just going to go ahead and name this favicon.ico. So it just overwrites that default React logo, and then just go ahead and hit export. It's going to just warn me, go ahead and replace it. This is fine, go ahead and hit export. And now if we go ahead and let's just minimize this, we see now our icon is this favicon that we created. Now what we want to do is go ahead and restart our application, and we should see that now as the icon in the browser. So going to go into our client directory and then npm start. And we can see now we have our nice little logo up here instead of the default React one that we had earlier. And that's pretty much it. You can take any SVGs that you can create, as long as you can get them down to that 32 by 32 resolution, and they still look somewhat halfway decent, you can go ahead and use them for your icons for the browser. So pretty cool little tool to use. Again, there is a ton more in GIMP than just exporting different file formats. There's a whole host of other stuff that you can use it for. Definitely a great tool to learn. And I'm sure there's definitely some great tutorials on YouTube to check out with that if you're looking to edit some photos and stuff like that. But yeah, so that is it for this one, and I will see you all in the next one.